Good evening. We'll call to order the Town of Lake Lure Town Council regular meeting Tuesday, February the 13th. It's Mardi Gras at 5 p.m. In case y'all don't know it, it's Mardi Gras. If you'll please stand for the pledge and invocation. Pledge of allegiance and invocation.
Thank you, ma'am. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to join together this evening. Thank you for the transition of seasons. Thank you to the dedication of our staff, powers of discernment for the future of our town, and those that are most dedicated and moving forward and looking into the future as we make transitions for our boards this evening. May we find the right talent that brings us into the next chapter for our community. Thank you to our emergency services staff. May your hand of strength and grace be upon them as they commit to their daily duties. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice. Welcome, everyone. Are there any edits to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, on our closed session, I'd like to add a motion to enter into closed session in accordance with GS 143-318.11A6 for the purpose of discussing personnel matters.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then, are there any other changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, now being presented, I move that we approve the agenda as amended with the addition at line item 10 for the closed session addition.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then the agenda is adopted as amended. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you all for being here. It's a good thing when we have lots of people here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, you're certainly welcome. You're certainly welcome. Couple of things, I usually don't bore you all with my messages, but a couple of things I did want to say tonight. I would want to recognize the Rumbling Ball Golf Course staff, the Rutherford County EMS, the Lake Lure Fire Department, and the ER staff at Mission Hospital in Asheville. They provided an amazing display of teamwork in treating a Rumbling Ball Golf Course employee who had a medical incident last week and had to be airlifted to Mission for treatment. Everyone did an amazing job, and we want to thank each and every one of them. I'm thankful I know we are all thankful every day that we are so well looked over by our EMS. And so we thank them all and keep them in our hearts. Additionally, last week the town recognized the Lake Lure Police, and the Lake House Restaurant had a recognition dinner for them. Just to be sure that everyone has seen the article that was recently published on the safest places to live in North Carolina. I'm sure you all have seen that by now, so that's quite a thing. There are a lot of towns in North Carolina. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the U.S. Census Bureau, the city with the lowest crime rate per capita than any other in North Carolina is Lake Lure. So we thank all of our first responders, our police force, for keeping us safe, as they always do. That is, that becomes more and more important even than it used to be, doesn't it? Where so many cities, people are fleeing from them because of the crime. So that's quite a badge for our town to have. So we appreciate our police department more than we can possibly tell them, as we do our fire department. The other thing that I would like to say is that we all know we've referenced in the last couple of months, and we all know that it's we are beginning the process of updating our Town of Lake Lure comprehensive plan. So tonight, all of the commissioners have a copy of the comprehensive plan, which it's available online too, but so each commissioner is going to go through the comprehensive plan and highlight any changes or additions or deletions that need to be made, okay, chapter by chapter. because we do not need to write a new, by any stretch of the imagination, comprehensive plan. And of course, it's available, if you go to the town of Lake Lure, you can see the 2007-2027 comprehensive plan there. But it does need to be updated, as we know, and it can't, it's not something that can be updated once every 20 years. It should be updated at least every 5 years. So the commissioners are going to go through that and line by line, and they're going to identify any areas that they think need to be addressed. The staff, this is an inclusive process, I can tell you, and that we will follow the same process that was used when the comprehensive plan was actually crafted. So it involves the different advisory boards, because they are certainly our representatives from the community, and it involves the town staff, who will be making their recommendations. So this is just the first step in doing that. But we feel like it's a good sort of way, an efficient and an effective way to do it, to look at it, just to break it down and look at it chapter by chapter, rather than, in the past, we've tried to address the whole comprehensive plan at one time. It sort of gets a little bit unmanageable, to tell you the truth. So the commissioners, because they have nothing else to do, I assure you, between now and the working meeting, we'll go through it. And then at the working meeting, we'll be able to get together and sort of condense their recommendations and their thoughts about it. And then the process then will be formalized. But as I said, if you look at the comprehensive plan now, it will follow much that same process. So just letting you know that. So the big binders, they have double binders, each of them, because now they have something to do between now and the working meeting, right?
Thanks.
So, as I said, you know, it's really important. There are many things in there, if you read it, that don't need to be changed at all, that haven't changed, so much the history and things like that. And so it's not that every single thing needs to be changed, but we certainly do need to update it and incorporate new things into it. So, just wanted to give you an update on that. All right, we will now move to the town manager's communications, and I will default to our town manager.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, for public services, I'll report there that they had a washout on Luther Burbank that was addressed last month, and this is, of course, for the month of January. They had to clean the ditches on Marina Drive, Hummingbird Cove, and Snug Harbor and Storm Ridge, and completed almost 50 811 locates for those that had requested for it. In community development, they performed 39 permits for the month of January as compared to 31 for December, and performed numerous follow-ups. They included 19 zoning, 8 lake structure, 4 land disturbance, and 4 vacation rental operators. The BOA reviewed and approved 4 variance requests, of which 2 had conditions imposed. They're also happy to report that Tillman Construction, they're the contractor working for AT&T, has all of the town permits submitted, and community development has approved them. They are in the process of obtaining building permits from the county. The tenant lease agreement was signed, and the tower is on track to be erected and in service in May. Moving forward into fire and emergency management, the department had 28 fire, medical, and rescue calls for the month. The firefighters also completed the 321 hours of training for the month. And then, of note, they performed inspections on all of the AEDs in town. Moving for the police, all staff has now completed all firearms training, which was performed partially in Rutherfordton. While some were able to use our shooting range here in Lake Lure, this now completes the yearly training in weapons and all mandated state training. Also, Chief Humphreys and Superintendent James Ledgerwood of the Chimney Rock State Park attended the Region C award function, where they both received the Region C award for their acts of valor and compassion in helping a person attempting suicide from Chimney Rock. Moving forward into Parks and Recreation Lake. Along with numerous lists of trail maintenance that they performed on it, they did report too that they utilized a total of 85 volunteer hours, which is valued at $1,700. Began selling the 2024 boat permits and began planning marina maintenance. For finance, The town continues to sustain its strong financial position with an unreconciled bank balance of approximately $9.9 million for all funds other than special revenue funds, the dam fund. Regarding the dam fund, the first draw was made on the Reserve Capital Projects Fund to remit payment for the drain valve project. This past month's payment, the fund still holds a balance of approximately $14,300,000, which includes accumulated interest of $435,020. For communications, there was a significant amount of work done by Communications Director Kreege on workforce housing, where we had she helped us plan a site visit and to Rutherfordton to look at a project that they have out there, and then to also submit an action plan for moving forward. And then she also performed a Dogwood Health Trust grant submission. And then we had a recognition ceremony for Mary Carr, and that was organized by her as well. For the manager and clerk and admin summary, council addressed the results of the fire department space needs study and recommended the future site of the new fire department to be located on town property on Highway 9 across the highways from the Ingalls Shopping Center. And then presented, discussed, and received feedback from the town council on the draft lease for 2654 Memorial Highway, or the old East ABC store. And finally, I will conclude with the reviewed the scope with McGill and Associates. They are a Parks and Recreation Master Plan group for the master planning of the green space. And the scope as of February's Parks and Rec meeting was reviewed by the Parks and Rec Committee. The next steps are to execute the agreement with McGill and Associates and start working on the master planning for the green space property. And then lastly, this is more of a reminder for all those present in case they're interested in it. I'm working with Duke Energy, and they're going to be having a community meeting at the Lake Lure Community Hall here next week on Tuesday, February 20th. Meetings, I believe, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This meeting is to meet with and present information to members of the communities of Lake Lure and Chimney Rock Village. So I encourage anyone that has an interest in attending that meeting to come out and listen to what Duke's got to say. I'm sure they'll also be receiving your comments and input as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. All right, we will move on then to the council liaison reports and comments. Commissioner Doster?
Well, I actually had an easy month. Zoning and planning did not meet, and I was out of town for the ABC board meeting, which you so kindly filled in for. So, thank you.
All right. That's an easy way to do your job, isn't it? Commissioner DiOrio.
Thank you, Mayor. The town manager gave a great rundown on the Board of Adjustments. Nothing to add with that. Lake Advisory Board did meet this month. The biggest project at hand is taking a look at the buoy plan that we have on the lake. A lot of buoys, not necessarily all in the right place. Of course, the buoys are there to mark the boundaries. It's really a safety buffer for a variety of reasons. Very, very important. So we're gonna take a fresh look at that. The board is gonna take a fresh look at that to see if they can improve upon that, which would help maintain them if we do this correctly and get some sort of commonality as to where those buoys are placed. Especially since we no longer have permits for non-motorized, and I think we're gonna get a little bit increased traffic there. It's gonna be even more important that we have those buoys out there, so they're taking a look at that. They also took a look at, we found out, it's kinda interesting, there's some boats on the lake that are grouped together in the middle of the lake during the drawdown, and they're just out there, and they're not lit at night and could present a navigation hazard. So we're looking at potentially updating the ordinance for that to see, at least have a light on those things. They're out there for good reason. Some are for the rowing people coming in and rumbly ball, but for whatever reason, they probably should be lighted out there, and we're taking a look at that. Also, overnight parking over here. People are allowed to park overnight with permission, but no one really knows what that means, so we're gonna clarify that a little bit. I think it's okay to be parking trailers. I don't think it's an issue, but we ought to have some rhyme and reason so that Lake Lure Police know which vehicles are authorized overnight parking and which are not, so we'll look at that.
Because there have been people who just slept in their car overnight there.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
Yeah, we don't want, that's not authorized.
Right, that is.
Parking
not
your trailer there to fish is authorized, that's not authorized, so we'll look at that. Good news, got a report from Corby and Parks and Rec, the streamlined administrative processes that we have for boat permitting well received by the public, much easier. Everything's in the system, lots of smiles going out the door this year. And a lot of that has to do with Corby being a great face for the town of Lake Lure. But I'm pleased to report that it's working.
Good.
And the permitting is going fairly smoothly, I think, for right now, right, Dana? Good. That's all I have to report.
Gets better and better,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Proctor?
Parks and Rec did meet, and Commissioner Doster was there also, mainly to congratulate Mr. Dittmer for his, I don't know how many years, 18 years of serving on the board. Anyway, we certainly appreciate that. I want to reiterate that. They spent a long time talking about candidates for reappointment or appointment to Park and Rec Committee, and I'll talk about that when that's in the agenda. Manager talked about the 85 volunteer hours. That does not include the volunteer hours at the Flowering Bridge, which I don't have a report, but they're always out there doing something, so I know that's a big number also. And we then did talk about the park master plan for the green space, and there was some discussion on perhaps making it more inclusive to address needs for other parks as well. And I talked to the town manager about that yesterday. And that's all I have.
Thank you, thank you. And once again, thank everybody who chairs and has served and is currently serving on those boards. That is such an important part of our having the community involved and lending their expertise to us. So thank you all, because I know it's not just something you drop in on, once a month for an hour. There's a lot of work that goes on in between those meetings, so thank you. We'll now move on to public comment. We only have one person listed has signed up for public comment. If there's someone who came in after that and did not sign up, then you certainly can come up to the podium and identify yourself and your address, and then you have 3 minutes to speak. But we would like to first invite someone we're delighted to invite, and that is Mr. Ed Dittmer up to the
Good evening. I'm Ed Dittmer. I live at 1136 Memorial Highway. I just want to take the opportunity in person to thank the Lake Lure Fire Department, first responders, EMS. I had a stroke just 10 days ago. Thanks to the quick action by the first responders here in Lake Lure, Josh Hendricks and Trey Lewis specifically from the fire department, who were there within minutes after my wife, my guardian angel, early on recognized the symptoms that I was in having a stroke, and she called 911, and first responders were there within minutes. They got me, when EMS arrived, they got me on the ambulance, and the first responders confirmed that I was having a stroke and immediately called for air evacuation to Mission Hospital. I've since found out that there are only 2 hospitals in our area that have the drug that breaks up that can't administer that drug. And that's Mission Hospital in Asheville and Greenville Hospital. I don't know what the name of the hospital is in Greenville, but I was amazed that the other hospitals do not have that capability or are given that capability. But fortunately, I was taken to Mission. I got there within time, a little less than an hour and a half, to administer the drug. I was unconscious for almost all that time. I passed out very early on. But you can see I'm here today. A few years ago, Carol can testify to that they did not have that drug. And if you got a stroke, that was it. So I feel very blessed that I can continue on with my life. And I just want to thank everyone that was responsible for saving my life. So anyway, I just want to go also on to I have completed now 18 years as on the Lake Lure Parks and Recreation Board, Advisory Board. I've had that pleasure to serve as chairman for 10 years and 8 years as the vice chairman. Unfortunately, we have 3 of our most experienced members departing. They have resigned due to various reasons. Jim Walters, our chairman, he and Janet are moving. They have contracts on both the new house and the house they're leaving to go to an island off Charleston, so to be near her family. And Bill Massey has health problems. He's had a stroke as well. And then Mo Bay has other activities that she's involved in and just did not have time to devote to Parks and Recreation. So we'll miss all of them. There's a lot of experience there. And I chose not to reapply after 6 terms to give some younger people the opportunity to represent the new demographics we have here in Lake Lure. And our main task is, as Commissioner Proctor mentioned at our last meeting, was to go over I think we had 9 candidates to review for the 6 openings that we had. 3 resignations, myself not reapplying. And anyway, we went over the list very diligently, and you all have our unanimous recommendation for our replacements. So I just want to thank all the members of the board, thank the council for giving me that opportunity over the last 18 years to serve the board. The Parks and Recreation is under great hands now, under Dana as Parks, Recreation, and Trails Coordinator, under Dean Givens in the Parks, Recreation, and Lake Department. We did not have here, when I first served on the board, we did not have a Parks and Recreation Department. The Parks and Recreation Board did all that planning, coordinating, getting grants and all that sort of thing, overseeing maintenance and that sort of thing. So we feel very blessed now to have a staff here that is very capable and very willing to do everything they can to help Lake Lure advance in the future in providing parks and recreational activities. We have new blood on the board, a younger crowd that represents the demographics, including the athletic director of the Lakewood Classical Academy, which we recommend be moved up to a full member rather than an alternate member, and younger people as new members of the board. So I just want to thank you all for that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
You'll do anything for a helicopter ride, won't you, Ed?
Yeah, right. He thinks he's back in the Navy,
I
he just
think
wanted
so.
to go for a helicopter.
You think so?
Hey,
Just do it.
Mr. Dostner has one more thing
Just
to add
quickly,
to the zoning and planning
Yeah,
board.
the zoning and planning, we have talked about in the last few months about putting together a builder forum to get our builders together in the town, and the guys who are working out of Asheville, working in town, and have them come and just sort of help us go over some of the zoning and the planning ordinances that we have and some of the rules we have and things they may be running into that are kind of slowing them down, or there are things that are, antiquated, which there's no doubt that there are quite a few. And we felt like it would be really simple and easy to get these guys to come and start helping us sort of pick them off one at a time. So at the March Planning and Zoning meeting, we will have the forum. I'll be working with Director Williams of the Community Development, with Randy Nelson, who is the chairman of that board, town manager, I'm sure, and anybody else that wants to chime in. But we'll try to put that together, an agenda over the next few weeks, and then get out invitations to the guys that we know are all in town that we deal with every day. And then if any of you folks Mariah, you guys know builders around here that we may not see all the time. If you guys know some folks that want to come, please let them know. It'll be open. It's not just for invitations. But I just wanted to throw that out, and it just dawned on me just now, so thank you.
You're certainly welcome. All right, we will then move on to, is there anyone else who wanted to make a comment? Because we always welcome, as you know. We will move on to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as posted.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then the consent agenda stands approved as posted. We have no unfinished business because we're so extraordinarily efficient. Never leave that. And we'll move on to new business. First item is resolution number 24-02-13A, setting a public hearing for March 12th, 2024, to receive comments regarding the amendment of zoning ordinances, section 36-70, building site minimum dimensional requirements. Mr.
Yeah.
Perkins?
I'm going to recognize Community Development Director Mike Williams, if he has any presentation materials to make.
Hello, Madam Mayor. I don't really have a presentation. It's pretty simple. We have been trying to clean up some of the ordinances that don't match up or don't work. And in the R4 district, there is a 10-foot setback, there's a 12-foot side setback called for in the district ordinance. And there's a 15-foot rear yard setback called for. But there's also a schedule in the ordinance that takes all the dimensional requirements, puts them into one chart, and that has a different setback. It uses the normal 10-foot residential setbacks. So we went through with the zoning and planning board to determine why there was a difference in there, and we come up with the only explanation is there's a mistake. And why would it be different? Well, the R4 zone is a residential office district. It's kind of quasi-commercial, and the 12 and 15-foot setbacks match up with the commercial districts better. So the board has recommended that the ordinance be changed to have a 12-foot side and 15-foot rear setback in all references in the ordinance.
All right. Do I hear any
So
more discussion? Any
This
discussion on
resolution
that?
would be setting the public hearing date.
Setting the public hearing.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Make a motion, we set resolution 24-02-13A, setting public hearing for March 12th, 2024, to receive comments regarding amendment of zoning ordinances, section 36-70, building site minimum dimensional requirements.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then resolution number 24-02-13A, setting a public hearing for March the 12th, 2024, to receive comments regarding amendment of zoning ordinances, section 36-70, building site minimum dimensional requirements, passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you for clarifying that. We'll next move to the second item under new business, which is volunteer board appointments. And we will go through this board by board, and the conversation will be led by the council liaison. So I will turn that over to you, Commissioner
Yes,
Doster.
ma'am, thank you. The ABC board this term, we only had one candidate seeking reappointment. Everybody else is in the middle of their terms now, which are 3-year terms. We had the candidate that's currently serving as a regular member, he is seeking reappointment, is Peter O'Leary. Most of you know Peter as the mayor of Chimney Rock. Peter's been on this board for, I think this might be his second term for sure. And Peter's a very valuable asset, obviously, to this board. He's a great businessman and
You
helps
might
us.
explain why someone from Chimney Rock is on the board, because ABC covers Chimney Rock.
Yeah, that's true, good point. ABC does cover Chimney Rock, that's our, our state mandated little ABC store that we all voted for back in 1984, I think. And so we run all the way up through to the other side of Chimney Rock with, I think that's as far as we go. We stop on
It
the
is,
other side.
it is.
So that's why it's really good to have someone from Chimney Rock. And Peter's perfect, like I said, great business mind, and he really brings a lot to the board. So they unanimously chose Peter, and I as well. So I make a motion, do I have to do him? Yeah. Make a motion to appoint Peter O'Leary in his reappointment for another 3-year term on the ABC board.
I'd like to make a second
All right,
on that.
all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Then Peter O'Leary is unanimously reappointed to the ABC Board. Would you like to go ahead and do the zoning and planning now? It's
I
kind of
can.
out of order,
Sure,
but since
sure,
you're
sure,
talking,
sure.
let's do it.
Let me find it. Actually, we only have one person on the zoning and planning board that is re-upping. We have no empty spots. Mac Hillabush, who has been on the board, I believe this would be his second term. Mac works at the Lurmont camp. Great asset to that board, has a lot of really good insight on the zoning and planning side of what we do. So the board unanimously recommended him, and I do as well. So let me find, I guess I'll make a motion to appoint Matt Hillabush to the zoning and planning board for another term.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then that appointment is confirmed unanimously as well. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
We will now move to Commissioner Diorio. You'll do the Board of Adjustment and then just follow up with the Lake Advisory Board.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So Board of Adjustment, as you can imagine, Board of Adjustment is a pretty technical board, and the folks that are serving there, typically for long-term, they usually come in as an alternate to learn the regulations over a period of time, and then they move up. This year, on the Board of Adjustment and Lake Structure Appeal Board, they're both the same board. Mr. Win Hardy has done a great job for us. He'll be leaving us. He's done it for years, I think close to 8 or 9 years he's been on the board. So we need to replace him, and we will do so with an alternate. And then others have already been on the board, and we have one newcomer into the alternate position. So I'll start with the regular positions to begin with. These 3 gentlemen are returnees and being reappointed for 3 years, Mr. Neil Gurney, Mr. Al Joyner, and Mr. Melvin Owensby as regular members, and one alternate, Ms. Kimberly Sales, who's done a great work for us, pretty much been as a regular member of the committee. I move that we place her in a regular position for a 3-year term. So there'll be 4 regular members being appointed. Behind her as an alternate, I propose Mr. David Lusk, who's been serving the town for many, many years. Actually, Mr. Lusk was on the board before, left to be on the Lake Advisory Board, now is coming back again, well-versed on the ordinances and regulations, a great asset to have. He will be moving into an alternate position, so I move that also. So there are 5 appointments on this board.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Then those appointments are approved unanimously. The last is Commissioner Proctor, the Parks and Recreation Board.
I've the Lake
Oh, I'm
Advisory
so
Board.
sorry.
Yeah,
I beg your
no,
pardon.
I know, there's a lot of boards, there's a lot of people. So thank you, Mayor. The Lake Advisory Board is another board, just worth mentioning there. I would classify the board, and it's important for this board, not only to be representative of the community, of course, because we all use the lake, and it can be pretty, there are diverging viewpoints on how we should manage lake use. So it's important to have that perspective, the public perspective, but it's also very balanced. We have folks from every facet of lake operations, and I propose that we reappoint 3 members of that board, all that bring a special skill set to the table, and I'll briefly mention that. Mr. Richard Sales, coming to the remaining on the board, he's an innkeeper. in Lake Lure. So every time there's a regulation that would impact those visitors, tourism that we have here, he's kind of the expert. He has his finger on the pulse of what is needed for the visitors to make sure that they feel welcomed and that we prosper because of that tourism activity. Ms. Sonia Ledford, reappointed to the board. Of course, she manages Lake Lure Tours, so she has that whole perspective of managing the boats down on the waterfront, what's going on with that, very important perspective. And as another board, Mr. David Lusk, who's a public safety volunteer, so anything to do with safety and managing the rules, David is all over that, and with the buoy placement too. He's actually the person that goes out there and makes sure the buoys are in good condition and in the right place. So he's absolutely vitally important. So, Madam Mayor, with that, I propose that we reappoint for 3-year terms Mr. David Lusk, Ms. Sonia Ledford, and Mr. Richard Sales.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Then those 3 appointments are unanimously approved.
Thank you.
And now, Mr. Proctor, Parks and Recreation.
Okay, as Ed mentioned, Park and Rec unanimously recommended Larry, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Come on.
Krzaski,
You have to.
is that close?
Close enough.
Robin Worcester to be reappointed for new 3-year terms. Ozzie McFarland to move from alternate member to full member. And then Jennifer Vivilo, Debbie Warren, Matthew Marzi to be appointed to fill the positions vacated by Jim Walters, Marine Bay, and Bill Massey. And then Don Gorman to be appointed to fill the remaining term of Mr. McFarland as alternate member. Now, you'll notice on your ballot, you don't have a spot for the last candidate, so if you would just pencil in candidate for alternate, and that'll make that. That's my motion to approve what they approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then those appointments are unanimously approved. Once again, I want to thank everyone who participates in these boards, who, from the staff to the people in the community, to put in so many endless hours of work. And can't imagine how we could possibly get as many things accomplished in this town if we didn't have that input. So thank you all very much. You're appreciated. We will now move on to item number C, which is budget amendment number 364 for repairs to Parks, Recreation, and Lake Office roof and maintenance related to NCDOT replacement and upsizing of drain pipe under Highway 64/74. And I will defer to you, Mr. Perkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Hand it off.
Yeah, the money here too, and I will report too, I talked to Dana Bradley and Dean Givens this morning. The money, although I think we probably just go ahead and do the budget amendment for the drain stuff,
Yeah.
we're probably going to wait and take a hard look at that before we move
Yeah.
forward. But it doesn't hurt to go ahead and appropriate the money, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll take any action in the immediate term for it.
Okay.
Okay, this is a consideration of the park planning that we're doing, and,
Yeah, we need to talk about that before we
yeah.
pull the trigger.
So, we'll go ahead and do the budget amendment, but we're going to take a wait-and-see attitude on moving forward and how that works.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Do I hear a motion then?
I have one question on but the roof replacement, we're gonna go.
Yes,
after.
That's part
yeah.
still,
Okay.
Yeah, I just mentioned the drain because
Yeah.
that's the only thing that we're going to
Wait on.
Yeah, and
put the
D-
brakes on for the time being.
Just to mention that DOT did a pretty good job out there.
They
and
did.
So we need to just make it accommodating for the people that are using the park and move on with that, so we'll do that at a later date. One question I have with the roof replacement, have we decided, are we gonna go with the nostalgic metal roof like it was when it was
Yeah.
originally built, or are we gonna go with an asphalt roof?
Ms. Bradley, do you have any feedback on that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in favor of that too, and I would suggest, if there's anybody that has opinion, the metal, when I took a look at it, the metal roof actually goes back to about the 30s, when that thing was built. So it's actually back more so to its original look as a historic structure than not. So I would propose, and I think what you may get from the town council here, unless there's another viewpoint, is that let's go with the longer term metal roof.
So does that $35,000?
Yeah, it
reflect the metal
covers
roof?
that, right?
The 35 recovers the metal?
Or the asphalt.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
I was a little shocked, but then I was told it was probably gonna be metal. So,
We're gonna go out and get competitive quotes as well.
okay, yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah.
How did we get this number?
I think they probably, somebody gave them a budget number for the purposes of getting this done,
Okay,
and then we're just gonna go out and see the qualified candidates that can put a proposal in.
Okay.
because I know that thing has some leaks. I know it has
Yeah.
probably some little
It's got some
structural
rod underneath there.
issues up, you know.
That number included a little buffer because there are some structural issues with the roof.
Yeah,
And once we get it permitted for repair, that's some of the monies in that was kind of for the unknown.
Okay.
So we have to get the roof repaired and then the metal roof will go on.
but that number's gonna cover you, and I think what you're getting from us today is we prefer actually a metal roof.
Yeah,
I think that's what you're getting from us.
for sure.
Which is
I
budgeted.
can tell you, our house had a metal roof for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And we replaced it only because the nails were coming up. The new one was put down with screws, so it should last
Longer than.
even longer than
That's
100 years.
That is amazing. So Jim, you were what, about 3 or 4 years old when they put that roof
Right.
on? That's excellent, that's excellent.
Yeah.
But the amendment is for 75,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So, do I hear a motion?
I'm comfortable with that. I'll make a motion to approve budget amendment 364 for repairs to PRL office roof and maintenance related to NCDOT replacement and upsizing of drain pipe under Highway 6474.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then budget amendment 364 for repairs to Parks Recreation and possibly the lake office, lake office roof and maintenance related to NCDOT replacement and possibly upsizing drain pipe under Highway 64-74 is unanimously approved.
Okay.
We'll then move on to item number D, budget amendment number 365 for manhole replacement project and sewer line stabilization project at the Lake House Restaurant and Highway 6.
Yeah. The manhole replacement is another manhole that had been identified, similar to the
Yeah.
one that we replaced back Labor Day for it, so we're gonna be doing that work as well. Dean, you wanna talk to the stabilization for the sewer line?
Yes, for the stabilization located across from the Lake House Restaurant, we had two culverts that were feeding from number 9 and coming from Memorial Highway, both coming in one spot, and it had excessive erosion. So the only thing we're looking to do, it did undermine one of the town's laterals for the sewer system. So it's just underlaying it and putting riprap in there to support any further erosion and just give it support for the pipe. Right now, there's no leaks, we're just trying to prevent any further destabilization of the pipe.
That should last us till we get around there with the new
Yeah,
GLS, right?
yeah.
Yes, and
Perfect.
it gives, for those two culverts, it won't be able to wash away
Right.
when you do the drawdown after
Okay.
you're done
Okay.
the lake bed.
All right, any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I move that we approve a budget amendment number 365 for manhole replacement project and sewer line stabilization project at the Lake House Restaurant and Highway 9.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Then budget amendment number 365 for manhole replacement project and sewer line stabilization project at Lake House Restaurant and Highway 9 is unanimously approved. Move on to item number E, which is resolution number 24-02-13A, authorizing the town manager to act on Ruby Collins design-build agreement terms regarding section 8.2 delays of work and section 11.1 owner's right to stop work for work detailed in agreement amendment 02. Mr. Perkins?
Yes, ma'am, I can't say any better than what you just read. As we talked about in our work session, because of competing interests in two capital projects, we have put pause or suspended activities for the sewer work for this year. And this resolution then moves forward for the manager or his designee to go forward with the paperwork and the processing for that suspension of work for this year.
Any questions, discussion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 24-02-13A, authorizing the town manager to act on Ruby Collins design build amendment agreement terms regarding section 8.2. Oh, and section 11.1.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And resolution number 24-02-13A, authorizing the town manager to act on Ruby Collins design-build agreement terms regarding section 8.2, delays of work, and section 11.1, owner's right to stop work for work detailed in agreement amendment 02 is unanimously approved. We'll then move on to item F, fiscal year 2024 fall rehabilitation of high-hazard potential dams funding opportunity. Mr. Perkins?
Okay, I'll set this up, and then our communications director, Kreege, is here in case anyone has any questions. Laura has been doing an excellent job dealing with the state and dam safety on these grants. The long and the short of it is, within the last week, she was contacted and found a grant opportunity which the Dam Safety Office is encouraging us to apply. Why we are here this evening for this is we have a purchase and procurement policy that says that any grant to be applied for needs to be done so with the blessing of the town council, especially when it has a local match for it. The material is in your agenda for it. It does require a 35% match. As you'll see in the material, we still have grants open as old as 2021 for field investigations. Then we have a 2022 grant that we still have to do on 30% field investigations. Why we're here this evening is the deadline that has been imposed on us will happen prior to our ability to meet again. So Laura is working with Schnabel and Jonathan Pittman and our project manager, Mike Didula, to try to develop a scope of work that will fit the parameters within the grant. What we are leaning on right now is to go ahead and submit a grant, if possible, for the 70% work. So we've got 30% plans now. So if we can do this, and depending on, the jury's still out on whether or not we'll get a proposal put together right, but in case we do, we want to be able to move forward with a grant application for up to 70%. And that would follow the 2022 grant at 30%, and then we'd move on to the 70% funded.
How much is this grant, this one?
You remember we don't have a total, yeah.
They haven't designated how much it's gonna be yet.
Okay, just make sure you don't go for 75 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we could
30% would be a
use
lot.
it, we just don't have 30%.
Yeah.
But the other question I have is that we can use North Carolina appropriated dam funds for the match, can we?
We can.
Okay, yeah, so it's really,
The capital reserve for that.
yeah, the capital reserve, so it's really wouldn't be a tax burden for the matching.
That's correct. I think between the funds from the state and our own capital reserve, we've
Yeah.
got enough to make that
Gotcha.
for it.
Yeah.
The problem here too, and it is late notice for us to be able to get this before you. We're just gonna make our best efforts to get
Yeah,
a reasonable plan put together. In talking with the engineers, it may be a little difficult to do a 70% application when we haven't had the opportunity to do either the field investigations yet or the 30%
right,
plans.
right.
So the scope is kind of hard to determine when we haven't received feedback from anyone regarding the work that comes before
Do
that.
they recognize that and perhaps get us answers on the other two grants?
You would hope so, but getting definitive answers from the powers that be is very
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah,
Find a polite way to put that in the application.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think we go for it. I mean, we
Right,
absolutely,
right.
we absolutely need to go for
We
it, because
do.
that'll keep the football moving down the field.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other
Okay.
questions for Ms. Creechy?
I'm good.
Do
So,
I hear a
So,
recommendation?
yeah, I move that we approve the town staff's submitting of an application for the fiscal year 2024 rehabilitation of high-hazard potential dams funding opportunity for the remaining portion, 70% design of the replacement dam.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Then that recommendation is approved unanimously. That concludes our new business. We will now move into closed session, and just to let you know, there is no business after the closed session, so wouldn't want anyone to wait here for that. But we do appreciate everybody coming very much. We mean that sincerely, and we thank you for all your input. And we'll take a 5-minute break before we go into closed session.
And then somebody needs to make a motion to do that.
Yes.
I make a motion to move into closed session. which I need to do.
Yeah, you need
Yeah, if you'll,
You need to,
I got you.
In accordance with GS 143-318-11A, 3, for attorney-client privilege or legal claims, a motion to close session in accordance with GS 143-318.11A6 for the purpose of discussing personnel matters.
Second.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Then we will go into closed session. Thank you.
Hopefully, Olivia